Okay. Hello, hello. Uh, I am back in Los Angeles. It is it's nice to be back. I always feel kind of sad when I get back from a travel. Um, I'm just kind of like, oh, it's done. Um, so I guess that means I like traveling. So yeah, so a couple of live streams ago on Instagram, I was talking about my first arrival to New York up in the Upper West, and I was in that same the I told the story about um, the subway stop at 110th Street, and told a little bit about how I was applying for grad school then, and I got a few comments with different questions about just about that experience. So I thought I'd just talk briefly about that. I don't think I'll go into the full story of that chapter, but I think just a few key points to answer some of the questions that I got um, sent to me. So, um, what did I study in grad school? I studied acting. I got an MFA in acting. I applied to, uh, I think, 10 schools about, and the main criteria for schools was I wanted to go somewhere that had a designated link letter teacher. So I was fortunate to have that. This is for those of you not in theater, this is a voice pedagogy um, for um, for speaking on stage. And I I was fortunate enough to have that training in my undergrad, and I wanted to go much further and to continue that training. So that was literally the number one thing on my list was I only applied to schools that offered that. Um, and then kind of after that, it was just kind of the best rounded training. I wanted to go for training for the actor. Some people go for performance experience, some go for networking. I wanted training. So, and another thing that I did that was important to me was I wanted to audition at the location of every school that I auditioned to. So I applied to a lot of schools on the East Coast, and what most schools do is they'll do for graduate acting programs, they'll have auditions at their campus, they'll have auditions in New York, and then they'll have auditions in either San Francisco or Los Angeles. Sometimes both. I think San Francisco is a little bit more of a hub than Los Angeles is, but it just kind of depends on the school. Um, so I knew that I could go to like the campus tours and audition for all the schools. They tend to make it convenient, like it's all one weekend or a couple weekends, so that so that you can just kind of go to the one place and audition for all the schools. I I, I really wanted to get a taste of all of these campuses, especially some of the schools with bigger reputations that I applied to. I knew that the odds were really against me getting in, and so I thought, well, I at least want to go in the building and audition and get the experience of performing in this space at least just once. Um, so I, back to the Hawken lattes a bit. At Starbucks, I applied and I wanted to travel to each school, um, and so I did for the most part, almost all of them. Uh, let's see. So um, the way it goes is, let's see, someone, I think I mentioned that I made it through one callback at NYU. And so I was asked about like what that was like. So for the audition, you have to do two contrasting monologues. Um, they say to have four monologues prepared, a song, it's like 16 bars of whatever, um, of whatever. And but I had five monologues, just because odd numbers are lucky. So I had two and two, and then like this alternate monologue, just that I never ended up using, but I had in my back pocket. Um, so the way it goes is you go into the audition. There's a couple of faculty members that you're auditioning for, and you do your two monologues, and that's it. And so they see, over the course of a half hour or an hour, they'll see like a group of 30 to 60 actors that are signed up for that slot. And then they afterwards they'll you wait around till they get through everybody, and after about 10 minutes or so they'll like post a little paper up on the board, and the board has everybody that they want to see stay. And so at NYU, that was the first audition I had. I was on the list. I got to stay, and I was like, oh my God. I was kind of shocked, honestly. I was so excited and shocked, and I don't know. I didn't know what to do. So then part two is you go to a second group of faculty and you do your next two monologues. So a group of faculty saw two. They said, "Oh yeah, check out these people, um, that are on the list. Go see some other faculty." Um, and so during that part of the audition, I knew that I messed it up. I wasn't confident enough to do what I would do now. Um, so what happened was I did the first monologue, it went great. And then as I was doing the second one, I just sort of found myself in the exact same rhythm and the exact same headspace as I was in the previous monologue. So it looked like I did two monologues that were pretty much the same. So I wasn't showing them any contrast. Even though I rehearsed them, as I rehearsed them, they were different. Um, I just kind of kept going, like the show must go on, and that's how I handled it. Um, what I wish I did, and what would have been better, is if I just stopped in the second one and said, um, "Hey, sorry, uh, the first monologue is bleeding into this one. Let me just, can I go again real quick?" Which they probably would, as say, obliged to, as long as you're within the like 4 minutes. And then just do it just to show them that it was something different and that I could catch myself in what I'm doing, just that self-awareness. They still may not have called me back, but at least they would have seen something, you know. Um, so then at the end of that second hour, I wasn't on the list, and I thought, okay, cool. That was that. I think what happens if you're on that second list, then they want to hear your song. Um, and then what happens from there is, all of the people that make it through all of that in all of the locations, the NYU location and the tour, they all come for a final callback, and then they choose the class. Um, let's see, what were some other things that were asked? Um, just going from memory. Yale was the audition at Yale was the exact same, format. Um, in the hour session I was in, they only asked two people to stay out of all of the whatever 40 of us or whatever. They only let two stay. At the NYU one, there were I think seven or eight of us. Um, so it is very they narrow it down pretty quick. Um, let's see. What would I do, if I were applying for schools now? I think the biggest tip I have for grad school, applying to grad school, I think for anything, but certainly for theater, for acting, is to know exactly what you want out of the experience. Like, why am I going to do this? What do I expect to achieve from this? What will the experience give me? What do I want to be doing after this grad school? Like, so what will grad school help me to obtain? Because grad school, for the sake of itself, it's a very beautiful experience. It's very wonderful and horrible and awful and hard and exhausting and brilliant. But if you don't know what you want out of that experience, you can miss a lot, because there's so much that is offered in such a short amount of time, 3 years. It's what do I want to extract from this? And the way to know that is to know what you want afterwards. So what do you want your life to look like? And when you paint that picture, is grad school, what does grad school offer that will satisfy that? Because it could be that what you want, grad school is not really needed. And if it's not really needed, then, don't, know why you want to go. And because when you do know why, you'll take full advantage of obtaining those experiences, and you'll thrive more. It's very easy to get lost in the many opportunities that come up, especially if you're in a very good program, a well-reputed program. Um, the second thing I would consider is the network. What professional connections are possible from going here? What is it having this on my resume? What will become available to me? And that means collaborators, fellow classmates, and just professional networks as well, especially for theater. There are a handful of schools that people know they have such a strong reputation. Everyone knows that you go to these schools, you're going to be seen by people that can springboard your career. So I think the network is very important. Such an expensive investment. Even if you are on scholarship, you still are investing all of the hard work and achievements that you've obtained so far. You're kind of cashing in on those for a free education. Um, so, but it's still valuable. It's still everything that you've worked for. So it's still an investment, certainly an investment of your time. Um, so be very clear on the network. Are the kind of people that come out of here, are these kind of circles those that I want to be a part of? Um, and then you can kind of reverse engineer that. Go, okay, these are the kind of people I want to work with. Is there a school, or are there a few schools that a lot of these people did go to? And like, what's the connection? Like, why is this a roadmap to that? So that's another main thing to consider. Yeah, those are kind of the main points. I don't want to linger too much longer. It's been about 10 minutes or so. If you have further questions on grad school, feel free to hit me up in the comments. You can also do that if you'd like to schedule a session to help, in a more fully fleshed out way about grad school for you, preparing for grad school, preparing auditions, and your statements, your personal statements, all of that. I'm happy to work with any of you that are interested on that, Instagram and on YouTube. So yeah, so just leave a comment, and then we'll go from there on how to reach me, um, and make that happen. I've helped a few people, 4 or 5 people within the last 4 years, that and most of them have gone to very good schools, schools like UCLA. So I'm happy to help you as well. Uh, okay, that's it. I will talk to you all soon. Have a good night.